Hey there, crazy people. How you doing? This is Lucas Johnson. Uh, I'm under a channel called No Bullshit or No Bullshit Philosophy. I don't know. I don't really pay attention to keep track. I probably should, but I don't. So, who cares? Also, I'm aware that there's probably, in fact, no, I know, there are other channels called No Bullshit, but as long as I don't get in trouble with the YouTube, I don't really care. Um, so I like the idea of philosophy. Um, and please, dear God, please, this thing is a piece of shit and a paperweight. It's not an actual screwdriver. Little twiggy piece of shit. Pardon, pardon me for the language. I apologize. Which is, the language and the free use of it, even in words that maybe should not be said of someone of my age. It's going to undermine the message of the video and kind of make it seem hypocritical, but oh well, who cares? So the video is going to be called on the subject of the morality of high schoolers or something like that. Initially, I had a script that I was going to write out on many different pieces of paper, but I figured in the end that wasn't worth it, so fuck it. Again, pardon me for the language. So, I'm a Catholic. I am 15 years old. Right now I'm in high school. I was homeschooled beforehand, and that really allowed me to grow in my understanding of morality, good and evil, philosophy. It allowed me to get examples and really cement into my brain the idea of a good man, a good woman, good children, a healthy relationship between people. I apologize if the video's out of focus. It may be for the whole thing. So, if it is, I apologize. But anyway, homeschooling really allowed me to get an understanding of what it looks like when people are moral and they work together. That was valuable. And there's a word, not unvaluable, but I am so grateful for that it can't be expressed. I know there's a word, I'm just blanking on it now. But I went to high school. I go to a tech school. Which tech school I'm not going to disclose, but I already gave you my name, but I'm still not going to give you my school, which is stupid. I get it. But I got there and I realized very quickly that the society around me wasn't what I had experienced. I lived in a bubble that was sealed off for the rest of the world, from the rest of the world. Kids didn't cooperate, parents didn't cooperate with each other. Like, a father didn't cooperate with a mother. The kids certainly didn't cooperate with the parents, let alone teachers. No respect, no idea of right and wrong, no idea of basic moral principles, and it may be that I'm simply abnormal. In fact, I know I'm abnormal, but I believe that children, even at a young age, have a basic understanding of right and wrong. It's like, he hit me with a truck, she stole my bear. Well, if you don't understand basic right and wrong, even subjective relative right and wrong, where it's not exactly that you're doing wrong or you're seeing wrong in a large sense, but that someone's doing wrong to you and that you can report it to someone and that report to be serious or valid because there has been wrong done. Which really shows you that even children that are, yay high, have some, not even understanding, but consciousness that right and wrong exists. But when you get to high school, or at least from what I've seen, kids acknowledge that right and wrong exist, whether they're conscious of the fact or not acknowledged. But they're conscious of the fact of good and evil, morality, but they don't acknowledge it. you'll have kids that push for moral relativism. In fact, sounds like I'm up on my high horse. I assure you I'm not. But I've had a lot of arguments with kids over the idea that morality needs to be objective, because if morality is not objective, then our idea of morality as it is crumbles. Now, if this video is successful, I'll probably do something on moral relativism versus moral, I think it's objectivism. No, that's subjectivism. Absoluteness or something like that. I don't know what the word is, but I'll find it. But it's frustrating to see that kids seem to blank when it comes to morality, that it even exists. I was watching a video, but, I watched AVE, so I picked up some, I'm pretty sure my understanding of the English language kind of disintegrated a little bit. But I was watching a video, right, on this high school teacher, and I know it was old. I don't know exactly how old. I think it's a couple, 2-3 years. But he described high school as chaotic. And with my experience, I can say that my experience is that that is exactly right. You have kids that have an utter lack of regard for the well-being of teachers, students, an utter disrespect for parents, and a lack of cooperation. They have no sense of, or they have no acknowledgement that they are not at the top of any dominance hierarchy that exists. Especially when you walk into school. Well, no, I'm not going to say they aren't aware of it, because really, every human being is aware of where they are on the dominance hierarchy, whether they acknowledge it or not. But anyway, that's beside the point. The point is that they don't seem to understand that when they enter school, how they react with the people that are in charge of them or have authority over them, they don't understand that that's important, and that can have consequences, and those consequences should be cared for, or they should care about the consequences. I have kids that don't seem to understand that what they do is going to get them in trouble. And of course, going along with that, if you're not even going to acknowledge that what you're doing is either A, going to get you in trouble, and, it may seem like a far reach, and it is, by all means, but I think it's one that I can justify, from my experiences. Kids do things like that are against the rules blatantly, and they understand that it's against the rules, and they still do it, and then they are utterly shell-shocked when they get disciplined for it. They'll be talking about how, well, that wasn't right, I didn't deserve that, when in all reality, yes, you did. You did what you did, and while you have the ability to do what you did, you also have the responsibility to take on any consequences of what you did. And in the case of acting up in a manner in which violates the rules of the establishment that you're in, the consequences are going to be disciplinary. But anyway, that's tangent, little mini tangent on this whole tangent about morality, which really, also, disclaimer, I'm 15 years old, okay? I'm not claiming to know more than anyone else. I'm not. I'm putting my observations out there. If you think I'm wrong, tell me. Okay? But this is what I've seen, this is what I've read, this is what I've thought about, and these are the conclusions that I've come to. But again, 15 years old. I know jack shit. Again, I apologize for the language. It kind of undermines my whole point of high schoolers not understanding morality, and it kind of takes my any validity that I have in my opinion and chucks it out the window. But maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Anyway, what was I talking about? Morality and how kids don't understand. Oh, I know. They don't understand that their actions have consequences, and when they break the rules, their action or the consequences of those actions are going to be disciplinary. So if you don't understand or don't acknowledge that you're going to be disciplined when you break a rule, then how are you expected? Then how can you expect to understand when something is right or wrong if you're not going to be disciplined? If you get away with a lie, well, how do you know it's wrong? If you're only understanding, or not only, but, the most basic way that we teach people about right and wrong is, well, that's wrong. You're getting a punishment. If they don't even have that, how are they going to understand? Like, if they don't even have that developed, how are they going to understand when something's wrong that they've done that isn't going to be disciplined? Or maybe should be, but won't be. Like, I've had kids that will say things that are morally reprehensible, and I may be using the wrong word, and if I am using the wrong word, I apologize. Please correct me. But they say things that are morally reprehensible, they do things that are morally reprehensible, but since they aren't disciplined for it, they seem to not acknowledge that it was wrong or understand that it was wrong. Now, I don't know these kids. I don't know anyone. No one knows anyone. I don't know myself. Other high schoolers don't know themselves. Okay. This is kind of the time, in my opinion, that you're going to go out into the world and figure out who you are. And, high school, you're not even going into the world. You're just experiencing a tiny sliver of the world. But anyway, that's beside the point. I don't know who these kids are. I don't know that they are not understanding that what they did was wrong, even though they are not being disciplined for it. All I can tell you are my observations, which are incomplete. So if your observations are otherwise in the criteria that I have stated or implied, that is, they don't understand basic discipline and when it is warranted for the actions that they have committed, and seem to have an utter disregard for something that is morally reprehensible that they have done on the surface. So if you find that those people meet those criteria, and yet they go home or they go to a place that's quiet and then somehow understand that what they've done is wrong, tell me. But that's not been my experience. My experience is that we have a group of kids that are growing into adults. We have a group of young adults that are getting ready to adopt the civilization that we have, and they have minimal, and I mean very minimal understanding of right and wrong, good and evil, morality. They have no understanding of it. And if you put kids into the world and they have no idea or no clue as to what right and wrong is and how they should conduct themselves so as to serve in a manner in which they are good, useful, being a Catholic, saintly, that's probably not a word, but living your life so that you can become a saint, how can we expect them to do anything? Because really, when you look at it, education, the most basic fundamental, well, let's look at some of the most basic fundamental subjects. Math, not even math and science. Those are kind of more, kind of like, if you look at historically, from my understanding, I'm not a historian, and it's a regret that I have. But anyway, math and science are kind of tucked away. They're not taught at an early age, or at least as early as can possibly be. The subjects that you're taught are history, basic philosophy, like the stuff that your dad can teach you. History, philosophy, literature. If you can learn to read, you'll read, and you'll be encouraged to read. But what are all these things aiming at? How you should conduct yourself. Well, what's the most basic level of understanding how you should conduct yourself? Understanding what's good, what's bad, and why you should seek the good and avoid the bad. And we have a group of kids that we're about to send into the world, and have for many years, that have no understanding of that whatsoever. And it's appalling, and it's dangerous. So this is my first video. Thanks for sticking through if you did. It's lengthy. It's 15 minutes, 16 minutes long. So I apologize for that. I like doing it. I don't know if anybody's going to see it. But if you do, if you wouldn't mind leaving a comment, either in support, or if you want to rebut one of my points, or you want to disagree, or you want to point out that I screwed something up, do that. Please and thank you. I love you. God bless. This has been Lucas Johnson.